Perfectionism doesn't exist. That's right, I said what I said. Perfectionism doesn't exist. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Cully, and I'm on a mission to help you evolve into the highest version of yourself. And today I'm talking about perfectionism, and more importantly, how it's destroying your life. Now, why do I say perfectionism doesn't exist? When you say I'm a perfectionist, what you're really saying is, I don't feel good enough. Now, you might be sitting there and thinking, what on earth is he talking about? But hear me out. When you're caught in the perfectionism trap, it's like you're wearing blinders, okay? You can't see the opportunities around you because you're too focused on the so-called perfect path. And it's a path, let's be real, that often leads nowhere. You know what I'm talking about. You'll put off starting projects, you'll delay sharing your talents with the world, and worst of all, you'll put yourself down because you think what you bring to the table is not good enough. This constant self-doubt, this fear of putting yourself out there with all of your energy ends up stopping you from living a life that you not only want, but truly deserve to live. Think about all of those experiences, all of those achievements or impacts on others that you could be creating and having, but are not. Because your perfectionism has tricked you into believing that unless it's 100% perfect, it's not worth doing at all. But guess what? You are a powerful, energetic being. Yeah, you heard me right. Inside of you, there's a powerhouse of energy, creativity, and potential that's just waiting to be unleashed. But it's not going to come out and play if you keep believing everything you do has to be perfect. Perfectionism is not your friend. It's the enemy. You need to make peace with knowing that moving forward, making mistakes and learning from these mistakes is a million times more valuable than standing still because you're afraid to mess up. It's not about being perfect. It's about finding the courage within yourself to take that first step into the unknown, even if it means stumbling a bit. Because at the end of the day, that's what truly defines us. Not our flawless execution, but our relentless pursuit of growth. That relentless pursuit of becoming a little better, a little wiser, and a little braver every single day. Let me tell you something. Once you start channeling your inner energy towards progress instead of perfection, you'll start experiencing life in ways that you never thought possible. And understanding this is so important because as you start peeling back the layers of perfectionism, you'll find it's not the root of the issue. It's actually just the symptom. The root issue here is that feeling of not being good enough. And that isn't something that you've gained overnight. This is deeply rooted into your earliest experiences as a child. Think back. This seed often gets planted in childhood. Imagine the younger version of you, maybe trying something new and not quite getting it the first few times. Instead of encouragement, maybe you were met with phrases like, you can't do this. Why are you even trying? Why can't you be more like so-and-so? Or even worse, maybe you were labeled as dumb or stupid by other school kids. Maybe your parents or teachers that were meant to uplift you were actually unintentionally putting you down. Now these moments, they stick. They create a false belief in your subconscious that you're not good enough. And it doesn't just stop in childhood, and it can manifest through relationships. Maybe an abusive partner has reinforced those negative beliefs, or a work environment that's constantly highlighting all of the things that you're doing bad, but never your achievements. And then what happens next is a knee-jerk reaction to prove all of these people wrong. You start chasing this idea of perfection as if achieving it will finally earn you that validation and acceptance that you're seeking. And then you try proving all of these people wrong. But here's the true reality of it. Perfectionism is just a defense mechanism against these deep-rooted feelings of, as I said earlier, not being good enough. So how do you change this feeling of not being good enough? First, recognize how these experiences are impacting your self-perception. You see, awareness is everything, and you cannot change what you cannot see. Acknowledge that these voices are from your past. They're not a true representation of your abilities. They never have been. The journey then involves reparenting yourself and giving the younger version of you the encouragement and belief that you might have missed out on when you were growing up. You have to become your biggest fan and understand that the mistakes and failures are not a representation of your self-worth, but they're actually a stepping stone towards growth, towards a higher version of you. And also remember that you're not alone feeling this way. Many of us are walking this path, trying to undo years, if not decades, of conditioning. And to make this journey even smoother for you, you might want to consider working with a mentor, with a coach, or even finding a community that can help you on this journey. The goal should never be perfection. It's unrealistic and quite frankly, it's unattainable. The goal should be progress instead, improving yourself little by little, day by day. Now you may be wondering, how can you practically apply this mindset? One powerful method that I've been using for years is understanding and leveraging the 80-20 rule. Now, the 80-20 rule suggests that in most cases, 80% of the effects or results come from only 20% of the causes or inputs. So applying this to personal growth means that majority of your results will come from a very small portion of your inputs. Instead of obsessing over making every little detail perfect, which it never will be, and quite frankly, will drain you, focus on the 2 or 3 key actions that lead to significant progress. For instance, if you want to start an online business, spending hours and hours trying to figure out every single step might seem like a one-way path to freedom and a pot of gold. But in reality, figuring out what you want to provide the market and then spending time to really understand why you want to bring it to market would move the needle towards your goal far more efficiently than having all of the moving parts figured out, which could take years. This shift towards progress involves setting realistic, achievable goals. For example, did you get to the gym today? Did you open your journal? Did you set aside 60 minutes this week to focus on self? That's progress. This mindset doesn't just reduce the pressure you put on yourself, it also opens up a world of creativity and possibility. Because when you release the pressures of being perfect, you give yourself the freedom to experiment, to take risks, and then learn from these outcomes, irrespective of whether they're successes or setbacks. But remember, striving for progress doesn't mean settling for less than your worth. It means setting high standards for yourself, understanding that slips, falls, and detours are all part of the journey. Now, this might sound so bizarre, especially when we're constantly shown fake idealized standards of perfection on social media. But embracing imperfection is so beautifully human, and it frees us from our self-imposed cages of perfectionism. And you know what we all have in common? No matter where we're from or what we do, none of us are perfect. None of us, including me. We are all beautifully imperfect. And in our flaws, we find our shared human experience, our connection to one another. We live in a perfectly imperfect world. Just look around you. The most beautiful landscapes are often a chaotic mix of elements, uneven terrains, crooked trees, winding rivers, and even unpredictable weather patterns. They're not perfect, but they are a wild, raw beauty, just as you are. Our imperfections, our quirks, and our mistakes, they add depth and dimensions to who we are. They shape your story and they make us relatable to one another. You have the ability to grow and learn from your experiences, from your failures. So instead of fighting your flaws, own them. Do spend some time improving them, but own them. Look, when I first started making Instagram videos 4 years ago, I was living in Medellin, Colombia, and my first video took me 80 attempts, nearly 2 hours just for one video, because I was so focused on trying to make it perfect. But I realized there is no such thing as perfect, and the message I was trying to put out was so much more valuable than how my face looked or the lighting or the clothes that I was wearing. And had I not posted that first Instagram video 4 years ago, there would be no YouTube channel. There would be no retreats in Mexico. There would be no one-on-one coaching. There would be no community or memberships. So when faced with a mistake or a perceived flaw, instead of shying away in embarrassment or self-criticism, take a moment to acknowledge it. Yeah, I messed up, and that's okay. I'm human. But what did I learn from this? What can I tweak and make better? And then try again. Michael Jordan said, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." Now, I appreciate we're not all Michael Jordan, but your imperfections are opportunities for growth and self-discovery, if you can shift your mind to look at them like that. They're reminders that you're on a journey, not towards perfection. No, you're on a deeper journey to the best version of yourself. Otherwise, why would you be watching this video? And you know that version of you, the best version of yourself, that version of you will also be beautifully imperfect, because perfection doesn't exist. Now, before I go any further, if you're getting some value out of this video, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button so you can keep up to date when I release more thought-provoking videos. I thank you and I appreciate you. All right, let me take it a little spiritual. Perfectionism often masks a fragile ego, an ego that can bruise easily. And it bases your self-worth with success and achievement. and it deeply fears even the slightest hint of failure. This stems from a vulnerability, again a fear that we're not good enough as we are, or a fear of judgment, a fear of not living up to expectations. Now these expectations can either be our own or imposed by other people, but the ego clings onto perfectionism like a shield that it mistakenly believes will protect it from criticism, from not being accepted, and from the pain of rejection. However, this shield ends up weighing you down with the burden of unachievable standards, and it turns against you by reinforcing the belief that unless you're perfect, unless your work is perfect, you're failing. But here's another harsh truth for you. When you go for perfection, you're actually seeking external validation. Now, it may not be as loud as an applause, but there's certainly a need for that subtle affirmation or that acknowledgement that you're either on the right path or you're doing a job well done. However, that path to overcoming this isn't through achieving perfection, because as we've established, perfection doesn't exist and it can't be achieved. The path lies in strengthening and nurturing your self-worth from within, validating yourself, recognizing yourself as a powerful human, but also a spiritual being, completely separate from accomplishments or the approval of other people. It also involves increasing your resilience, building a sense of self that can withstand criticism, that can bounce back from setbacks and face challenges without crumbling. Resilience means knowing that you can and will fail, but trusting in your capability to rise again, and usually a lot stronger than before. Now, one way to, connect and soothe the fragile ego is journaling. And this is something that I do regularly with the members of my community. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out. But more importantly, journaling that promotes introspection. You see, you could have 101 things going on in your mind at any one moment, and a lot of people do. But journaling with the right prompts in the right setting is the easiest way to get your thoughts, or more importantly, your fears, out of your mind and onto paper. You can then begin to reframe them. So a few questions you could ask yourself regarding perfectionism is, where did I learn this belief? Where did I learn that I'm a perfectionist? Who taught me this? What happened? What does being a perfectionist even mean to me? Asking yourself these questions will really give you a better understanding of yourself. Now let me ask you this. Who the cares what people think? I get it. A lot of you do. And there was a time in my life where I did too. But truthfully, it's destroying your life, and it's stopping you from creating so much peace and joy in your life. And this is where your internal self-talk needs to change from giving energy to what ifs and what will so-and-so say, to focusing on the only opinion that truly matters, your own. Look, I've been working with people one-on-one and in group settings for over 4 years now, and I can firmly promise you this. Regardless of what you may believe, people are not thinking about you as much as you think they are. You see, you're the main character in your story. I'm the main character in my story. And the people you're worried about are the main characters in their own story. And they have their own challenges, fears, and self-doubts. Most criticism, judgment, or negativity you fear is just a projection of your own insecurities. And the way out of this is to step forward and take action regardless. And I don't mean being reckless or ignorant to feedback, but I mean connecting with yourself even with the doubt. Take that feedback from other people if you get it, but filter it and understand that someone else's opinion of you is not a factual assessment of your worth or who you are as a person. It's rather a reflection of their perspective. And when you get this perspective, an important question to keep in mind is, what has shaped their perception? It's their experiences and their journey. So this is why you should never get advice or feedback from someone who hasn't done what you're trying to do. The key to this path is having the courage to believe in your abilities and in your vision, and knowing that every step forward is a statement of trust in yourself. You're telling the universe, look, I believe in me and I'm all in. Step into that main character energy, and when you start walking the path will begin to appear. The people you need will begin to appear. The tools that you need will begin to appear. So what anyone thinks. Take that step towards the career you've always wanted. Start that business, launch that idea, write that book, ask him or her out on a date. Do that which makes you come alive. At the end of the day, it's your journey, and it's you who must live with your decisions and actions. And it's also you who must live with your regrets. That's all I've got for you in today's video. If you got some value out of this video, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and look, if you want to connect with me and you want to have more conversations like this, and you want to connect with other like-minded people, be sure to check out my membership in the description. I'm going to leave it in the comments section too as well. It might just be the community you're looking for. Together, everybody really does achieve more. And don't forget to watch this video somewhere here, where I talk about manifestation and how to use the law of attraction. I thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.